Hello, Buddy Crow here, and I just wanted to make a quick video. I don't know if this is actually going to be a quick video or not. I wasn't planning on making a video, but if you remember, 10 days ago, I put up a video about the retro VGS IndieGoGo, and it was something I was really interested in, and I was kind of going through the IndieGoGo campaign. I was pointing out some things, and at the end of it, I said, you know what, I don't think this will get funded, but I'm about 90% sure that I was going to put money towards it or fund it, at least for like $350 or something. But after I made that video, I was just gonna let it be and let it go. And if it failed, it failed. I might have put up a video. It was like a 45-day campaign, and I didn't know if I was gonna put up a video if it succeeded or failed. I just put it as is. But you know what's funny is over time, more stuff kept happening, and I wound up not funding it at all. And what happened is after a couple days, the whole thing wound up being like a big joke almost. There were a whole bunch of issues, and I'm going to put a link to two videos by Pat the NES, Pat the NES Punk podcast. Now, I'm not a big Pat the NES Punk fan or anything. In fact, I'm not subscribed to him or anything. But there's two videos from his podcast that pretty much covers all the problems that happened with the retro VGS. Now, there is some of the commentary on their end. Okay, why would you want a system that doesn't connect to the internet and is cartridge based? That seems like going to pass. But aside from that, there are they do cover a lot of the issues that happen. I don't really want to get into those issues here, although I might touch at them. Things like again, like when I was going down the page, there was no prototype for the system. But as the days went on, it became pretty clear that they had no direction for the system either. They have no specs, let alone prototype. Now, in my mind, I was thinking, well, no prototype. I don't know how much a prototype cost. It might cost like quite a bit of money to produce a prototype, and that's why they needed the money to do that. But then it came to light that, hey, you know what? Relative to $2 million, creating a prototype doesn't really actually cost that much. They probably could have made a prototype for less than $2,000. On top of that, one of the guys that they were working on for their chip of theirs, the FPGA chip, they were kind of rude to him, and he pretty much left the project. And then their whole arrogance about the whole thing, when confronted with questions, pretty much deleting anything. You know, honestly, they were complaining about people they were deleting negative comments on their Facebook page. But honestly, who wouldn't have done that if they're trying to push a product and people were putting horrible, like, well, not horrible comments, but things on their page that would lead people not to want to fund it. But you know what? Any type of research on this thing would have led to people not funding it. But yeah, the whole I almost was willing to forgive the no prototype thing, but there was no plan, and they kept updating their IndieGoGo page with details. They in the final days. Let me get to this. If you didn't know, let me just say outright, the IndieGoGo campaign is canceled if it hasn't been already. They already put an update on the page saying that they're going to cancel this IndieGoGo and retool, which is something I thought they were gonna do after the campaign ended and didn't succeed. It just kind of didn't go the way I thought it was gonna go. I thought that they'd go their 45 days and then they wouldn't make $2 million. I didn't think they would make $1 million. But the problem was that their whole attitude towards addressing issues kind of off-put a lot of people, and a lot of people put money down, and then a couple days later took it out. They actually wound up with negative funding amounts per day on some days because of people like funding it under the pretense of the things they had put, and then finding out in reality things aren't what they seem. But this thing did fail. They are pulling the plug after 10 days, which is very wise. What would have been wiser was to wait and gauge opinion on what people actually wanted before they just put out what they wanted, with pretty much unrealistic goals. But they did say that they are going to come back, retool it, come back at a later date. Now, I hope they take a couple months to actually figure out what they want to do, and they just don't come back within the next couple of weeks. But they did say they're going to come back with a lower price point for entry to get the system. They're going to have a prototype available, ready, and it's going to be on Kickstarter instead of IndieGoGo, which is another thing that pretty much hurt them. But this failed campaign and the events that have transpired within the last 10 days is definitely going to hurt them, and people that may have would have contributed to begin with aren't going to contribute now because they see what these guys are like behind the scenes. If they do come back, I'm going to take an even closer look at the campaign before I decide whether or not I want to fund it, because the whole concept of a new cartridge-based system is something I think I could really get into. I'm not saying that this would replace my PS4 or replace my Wii U. It's just something I would like to have. It'd be something interesting to see. Now, one of the core complaints about a system like this, that with no internet connectivity, was that one of the things they said was, we're just going to instruct the developers not to have bugs in their game when they make a cartridge. Well, again, if you watch this Pat the NES Punk podcast thing, they say that that's impossible. If you look through your old library of cartridge games, there are bugs in them, and those had full teams dedicated to finding bugs. So it's impossible to do that. And but then another point was, these are indie games. Once you put them on a cartridge, you're not going to be able to update them. So, like with the point with Shovel Knight, Shovel Knight came out, people bought it, and then later on they put on a free add-on for the people that bought it with additional levels and stuff as a thank you. But if they were to put that on a cartridge that can't be updated, the people that bought the cartridge would not be able to update it. And you know what? In my mind, I wasn't thinking that the retro VGS would be a system where you would get games new first. To me, it seemed like the games that would go on it would be, just homebrews pretty much. Also, like indie games, but indie games that have been around for a while with no physical media. Now, what was brought up to me was, and before I go any further, I want to thank Atari Leaf for pointing me to the thread on Atari Age, and I know it's a non sequitur, but but I was kind of glued to that thread for a couple days. It's funny, as I have an Atari Age account and I haven't used it in forever, but I was one of the guest people on there, kind of looking at the thread every day. But after a couple days, I just stopped watching it because it just seemed to be de-evolving by the day. And I'm like, okay, whatever. This is I'm not going to fund it, but then I'm not going to really follow that close anyway. And I'll do a shout out to Picky Old Gamer, who was the person who put up a video that pretty much indicated that this campaign was over. I saw that this morning. So I'll put a link to him too in the comments. Not in the comments, in the description. I'm kind of anxious. I'm kind of anxious to get back to some Mario Maker here, and I'm doing this on my webcam instead of an actual camera. Hence the video quality. I just want to do this quick, even though what am I, like 8 minutes already? But in my mind, a game like Shovel Knight, if that was coming out on the retro, this Shovel Knight is coming out on console. That's what was brought up to me. And when I was told about that, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of heard about that. I wound up buying or pre-ordering the Wii U version because they have a Shovel Knight amiibo, of course. But let's say that Shovel Knight, it would have been just a cool thing to have. I mean, the retro VGS, it's a system for collectors. There's almost no way around that. If you want to own a physical copy of something, that's where you would go to the retro VGS. Again, Shovel Knight would come out and maybe a year later come out on the retro VGS. Maybe somebody had already bought the digital copy, but if a physical copy came out as well, I would imagine somebody being like, as a collector, I would like to have a physical copy of that game. Also, it just wouldn't be indie developers putting their games on a physical release with no pretty much testing period. To me, the testing period would be the time it's out on digital format, and if the game was popular enough, then it would be put onto a physical cartridge format for somebody like me to buy. Because as it is, I wasn't going to buy Shovel Knight. I don't like buying digital games. I mean, there's a couple exceptions, and the Pinball Arcade is a big exception to that. But I was not going to buy Shovel Knight. But if there was a physical copy, like there is for the going to be for the Wii U and the 3DS and everything, I'm going to buy it. Simple as that. I don't care that it is maybe a year or so old at this point. I buy physical games. Again, who knows, in the future, maybe I will go into the whole digital thing, solely digital. I don't know. It's just not for me. I'm call me weird. I like to have a physical copy. I'd like to say that I own a game. I like to say I put it in my collection. I might want to try to get away from it, but I am a collector. I do like to collect things, and having amiibos and pop vinyl figures, that is me being a collector. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much the point I wanted to make in this video. IndieGoGo campaign for the Retro VGS is gone. Will be coming back sometime in the future. At least that's what they say. I hope it doesn't come back for a couple months, and then they pretty much address all the issues people had. Now, again, you're not going to be able to please everybody. There's still going to be people who say cartridge-based system, that's stupid. But again, if you're a collector, you think that's pretty cool. It's a collector system. What can I say? I don't know if I mentioned it, but they said when they do come back, it's going to come back at a lower price. I honestly do not remember if I said that or not. What that lower price is, who knows? Maybe I'll make another video when and if this new Kickstarter campaign starts in a couple of months, weeks, whenever they do it. Who knows? I don't know. I'll just kind of keep my ear to the ground, see what happens. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to put something out there, my 2 cents kind of deal. Now I want to get back to Mario Maker. Thanks everyone for watching. Till next time.